Good afternoon from the woods in South Cambridge, and you may recognise this little spot from last year where I did all the fog. This is actually one of my favourite places to sit and listen to the ambient sounds. So when I see the news today and how it's progressed over the last few weeks, and actually listen to how people are speaking, there's a fear. People are becoming anxious. Anxiety is becoming a reality for people that have maybe never felt it, and for those that do, well, they're terrified to go outside. How did I learn to cope with it? The first thing I did was to ground myself. Let me give you an example. One time I was doing some exercise on a treadmill and I felt panic come. The warning signs were there. I felt my heart rate go up. I could hear internally. For me, everything goes into tunnel vision, and I start to very much introvert everything. I remember in that moment I started to look at the bars of the treadmill and describe them. So the handrails were grey and they were made of foam, and they had a yellow clip at the top of them, and I started to, in my head, say what I was seeing, and then I touched them. What do they feel like? I started to describe how they felt. And I found that my mind shifted a little bit. I started to distract myself. I started to become aware of where I was and who I was. The second way I learned to cope was to understand that if I feel fear, I am not fearful. So this was about understanding emotions and understanding when they come, what they are, but also acknowledging that they don't define me. Although I might feel fear, I am not fear. I also know that as soon as fear comes, if I entertain it, it can increase and it can get worse. And you either live in the past or the future, but never the present. If you're fearful in the present, well then there's an imminent threat and you need to move, you need to do something about it. We still have to have a fear response. But a lot of the fears that I was displaying were irrational, about things I couldn't possibly influence. So when I started to acknowledge this is what I felt, I would start to explore why I felt that way. And I would think about the sensations that I go through. And eventually I'd find that the grip of fear became weaker and weaker. I know this is very simplified, but these are the two things that I did. So the first thing was to ground myself, and the second thing was not to define as that emotion, fear. I hope this helps. And whatever you're doing for the rest of the day, have a good one, and I will catch you later.